Hi everyone. So I'm just waiting on Sharon. Hi Sharon.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me? All right. Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. How are you today?
Really good. Thank you so much for inviting me, Joanne, to come for my first Instagram Live. I've not experienced an Instagram Live before, so it's really exciting and really special to be doing it with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. No better woman to talk all things psyche than yourself. I know that you're obsessed with psyche, as am I.
Fair to say.
Absolutely, it's all we talk about. But you know what, we'll just wait a little minute so a few people that are ready to join can join. Hi, Roisin. Hi, Kira.
Hi.
Hi, Emily. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We're just going to have a really in-depth conversation all about Psych-K because, I hear from, friends and people that I'm talking to about it. They're like, oh, what is it used for? How can it be used? Is it for everyone?
Yeah.
So I thought we would just come on and answer any questions that you guys might have and give some clarity really around Psyche, who is it for, how can it be used, so that if you feel drawn to Psyche, then you'll know it's a good fit.
Fantastic. Sounds great. And if you have any questions, pop them in the comments and we'll see if we can
Mhm.
answer your questions if they're specific to you.
Perfect. Yeah. So, will we start by just simply introducing ourselves? So, I'm Joanne, obviously, as you know, and I'm obsessed with all things healing, transformation, living your best life. And so, yeah, that's what drew me to Psych-K. And yeah, I now do this as my full-time job, and I am so amazed to even say that. I feel so blessed to say that because I absolutely love my job and I'm so passionate about it. And it's just your joy, your days are filled with joy whenever you work with Psyche. So, and you get to meet the most amazing people. So, yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Sure, let me introduce myself. So I'm Sharon Lock, and I am one of the UK Psych instructors and also facilitators. Myself and my colleague, Kazi Dare, my soul sister, I should say, we both teach Psych, are blessed to be able to teach Psych, and we're both based in the UK. And I teach not only in the UK, I'm based in Leeds, sort of, the centre of the UK, but also teach in Edinburgh and also in Dublin, which is where we met, Joanne, which was phenomenal. So, it is just such a gift, as you said, Joanne, to be able to do this work every single day, to be able to meet the most amazing people. We'll maybe touch a little bit on the Psyche community because that's a really important part. Unexpected part, I think, of learning Psyche and the Psyche process is that phenomenal community or family, we should say, really. Our Psyche family is amazing to be connected with the most amazing, like-minded beings. All of us who have that overall mission of making the world a better place first and foremost, and it always starts with us, doesn't it?
Absolutely, it all starts with us. I love that. And yeah, so blessed to have that family and support all around us. Absolutely. And I see Kazi has joined us. Hi, Kazi.
Hi, Kazi.
Yeah, so now that we've introduced ourselves, I thought we will start with, what drew you towards Psyche, Sharon? If you would give us a little insight into
Yeah.
your journey towards Psyche.
Absolutely. So my background was working with other modalities, other processes. I trained as a homeopath initially and was practicing as a homeopath. And, in all honesty, I wasn't really looking for another tool. I was using muscle testing or kinesiology alongside my homeopathic practice, and that in itself completely transformed the way that I worked, being able to communicate with the clients I was working with and to have access to what they needed in what order, for their best and highest good, in order for them to transform whatever was going on for them, whether that was physical, emotional, whatever. And so like I said, I wasn't really looking for anything, but I had learned this muscle testing that worked, or kinesiology, that worked alongside my homeopathic practice, and I'd met the most beautiful person on the course. And as often is the case, synchronicity played a huge part. We stayed in touch and we said, let's practice what we've learned. She lived in Nottingham, I was based in Leeds, and so we committed to getting together regularly, practicing. And so she sent me an email one day and said, I'm doing this course, I think you might be interested, here's the details. And at that time we had some building work going on at home, I had a small child, and you know, I wasn't really looking for anything, as I said. And so I kind of put the email to one side and didn't really read much of the content. I thought I'll look at that properly later. So we had the builders in the house and everything going on, and there was a moment where the water was switched off, my office was filled with sanitary ware, bathroom stuff, and like I couldn't get on with my work. So I thought, what can I do to be productive? And so I went back to my emails and thought, that's what I can do, I can catch up. And came back to this email and looked at the detail, thought that's really interesting, and there was a video attached, just a really short clip, about I don't know, 3 minutes. So I thought I'll watch it. And it was Rob Williams, the originator of Psych-K, talking about what is Psych-K. But it was a really short clip. And actually there wasn't much content to it. But I remember watching it and then watching it again and watching it again. And I think I must have watched it about 5 times. And there was something about that video and Rob's demeanour and his connection that just every cell in my body told me I needed to be on that workshop, which when I look back at the detail was the next day. It was in Birmingham, you know, I had lots to sort out with childcare and everything else, builders. But against all odds, I was there. And, you know, absolutely, even though I wasn't looking for something, I was ready, you know, at that spiritual, higher self level, I was ready, and Psych-K found me. And that's something that I often hear from participants attending the workshop. You know, I don't know why I'm here, but I know I'm in the right place. And then maybe things unfold that allows them to see why, you know, they're there. So that was way back in 2008. It's a long, long time ago. I subsequently took the advanced workshops and then eventually met Kazi, who is, as I mentioned, the other UK Psych-K instructor. We hit it off immediately. There was like an instant connection between us. We are soul sisters, there's no doubt. And Kazi would come and teach workshops in Leeds for my clients who really wanted to learn Psych-K for themselves. And I would host and she'd teach. And she would gently encourage, well, I say gently, she says not so. Gently encouraged me and said, you know, have you not thought about, you know, the journey towards becoming an instructor? And I was like, no, it's not on my path. You know, I love the way that we work together, collaborating. You know, I can't see that in my journey, my future. But Psych-K obviously had other ideas, and there came a moment where both of us realized that actually that was my next step. And Kazi has been the most amazing support and mentor on that journey, and we collaborate so closely together. So I trained, certified as an instructor in 2017, and I've been teaching for the last 5 years, and it's the greatest gift, absolutely, to be able to share this amazing process with anyone who is ready, willing and able to experience Psych-K. Yeah,
you can just really feel that, you know, as somebody who has been your pupil or your student. You can really just feel the sheer passion and love and that you have for Psych-K and what you do, and that comes across, and then, you know, that helps inspire and instill that feeling within us, you know. So I'm so grateful that you followed your passion and your joy, and you've been able to give your gift to the world, you know, because it's such a gift. Amazing. So
maybe share your journey, Joanne, you know, how you found Psych-K and, you know, what drew you to the basic workshop initially.
So yeah, like I was searching for, you know, I'd done a lot of work. I'd done, you know, a lot of different therapies to heal trauma and heal wounds. But in my reality, I was still seeing all of those sneaky little limiting beliefs reenacted and being played out in front of me. And actually then when I became a Havening practitioner, I could see all, you know, clearing so much trauma, but still, you know, seeing those sneaky beliefs coming up for everybody. And I was like, how do I get to these beliefs? Because that's where I need to go. And so, you know, I'm obsessed with Bruce Lipton, like obsessed, love Bruce. And I've seen so much of his videos, you know, his book, The Biology of Belief, and the honeymoon effect is incredible as well. And I was like, right, I know that there's some programs running here. How do I get to them? And in one of his videos, he mentioned Psych K as instantly wiring in new beliefs. And I was like, seriously, like you can instantly wire in new beliefs like in 15 minutes. And I was like, for ages, I was like Bruce is, he's lost it. Like he's totally lost it. Like, no, that's just too far fetched for me. And you know what? I thought, what have I got to lose?
Yeah.
What have I got to lose? Something in my gut was like, go and do it. And yeah, I'm so glad that I did, because as soon as I was equipped with those tools, you know, I was so aware of all my different beliefs that I was able to completely, you know, do all that work on myself. I remember after our workshop, like I would literally, you know, when we do a psyche session, or it's called a balance when we work on a belief. So I was balancing every single day, you know, and I'm just reaping all the rewards of all the work that I've done. And, you know, I suppose for me, that's important in terms of wanting to show other people that there are no limitations, and that anything that you're limited by is, you know, you have the power to come and do psyche or something that is in alignment with you, to move into your power and to remove those limiting beliefs, because we need us in our power, sharing our gifts, you know. So that's what I'm so
Now more than ever, you know, we look at the world around us and see what appears to be chaos, but actually chaos precedes change often, doesn't it? And you know, as you said, Joanne, you know, many people will come and say, well, how do I know what are my limiting beliefs? That's a question we often get asked, isn't it? And I think sometimes, or the easiest way, the thing with psyche is you don't necessarily need to know what the limiting belief is in order to make the change. And like you said, you know, there's no need to settle for something that's not working for you. And psyche is a really quick and easy way to do that. Often the clue that there's a limiting belief, there's a, like you said, a sneaky limiting belief underneath the surface, is the way that we respond to situations or our behavior. You know, if there's something we want to change that's not working for us, typically there's an underlying limiting belief under the surface that's, you know, holding that pattern that we're creating. You know, there's programs that we have that are actually hardwired in our subconscious.
Well, how do these programs get into our subconscious, Sharon? Will we chat a little bit about that? Like how,
really
you know, these limiting beliefs that are within us that are manifesting our reality, like when do we take them on as our reality and into our subconscious? Like what is that process?
Yeah, so really early on, you know, even as far back as in utero, you know, when we're preparing to be born into this world, you know, our system is ready and preparing for what's going to be beyond the womb. And then
Absolutely, it's just like that prepared, isn't it? That preparation, you know, if we chat a little bit about, you know, the study that they did on mice, where they put mice into a little test, and every time that they pumped cherry blossom into the mice, they gave them a shock. And for 5 generations down, they were able to prove that the smell of cherry blossom would set their whole systems into fight or flight, into that panic mode. So if we think about that and that inherited trauma that traumatically encoded down into us from the womb, like it makes a lot of sense, you know?
It really does. And like up until the age of 7, you know, around that time, we are so reprogrammable. You know, anyone who has children or, you know, who spends time around children will know that they're like sponges, aren't they? They just absorb information, and this leads to them laying down beliefs and conclusions to, you know, how is the world, how do I interact with the world around me? And it doesn't always have to be a learned lesson, if that makes sense. They learn through observation and come to these conclusions that lay down beliefs. Now, typically these beliefs just laid down as programs in our subconscious. And, you know, when we become an adult, you know, at best, they're kind of not serving us. Some of them are just there, you know, in the background, not really serving what it is that we want in our life, what we're becoming. And at worst, they're sabotaging. You know, I don't know, I'm sure you have examples, I certainly do, of where I felt like I was sabotaging my own, you know, goals, the way that I wanted to go in my life, the direction I was taking. You know, it's like spinning wheels, you know, wanting something, but actually we're relying on willpower alone, you know, without the help of a process like Psych-K, and that can lead us to believe that, you know, change is hard, it's painful, it takes a long time, it needs a lot of energy to be able to make that change, because we're just really trying to make those changes at the level of the conscious mind. When we can go deeper to the subconscious level, that's where change can happen really quickly.
Yeah, and that's what the beauty of Psych-K allows us to do, really, isn't it? Which is amazing. But you know what? I think it's important as well to get across to the people watching that these beliefs can be taken in really quickly as our reality. You know, I heard a story of the lovely Nikki Clinch sharing her example of how she witnessed a belief being programmed within her 4-year-old. So she had lost a baby, and she had just taken to her bed to grieve that loss. So she was in her bed for about 2 weeks, and she said her husband was putting her daughter to bed for the whole 2 weeks, and towards the end of the 2 weeks she overheard her daughter say to her husband, you know, Daddy, why doesn't Mummy love me anymore? You know, so there's only like one significant, you know, and that's how quickly these beliefs can take a hold. And therefore, you know, if Nikki hadn't been, you know, the person that she is, that belief could have been installed in her daughter, and therefore she grows up, and anytime she engages in a romantic relationship or any sort of real love, she will self-sabotage, push it away, get rid of it, because her belief system won't believe that's who she is, that's available to her, you know. So sometimes I think that people think these limiting beliefs have to be like drilled into us over and over. You're not good enough, you know, people stand there saying, you know, you're stupid or you're this, but actually it's those little subtleties of, you know, what's going on in our lives and what's going on, and how we make that about us, really, you know, because we are so egotistical in our thinking in that very young, tender age, really.
And they can come from anywhere, can't they, Joanne? So, you know, it may be a teacher spoke to us in a particular way, you know, that our parents even aren't aware of, that lays down a limiting belief around, you know, I'm not good enough, I'm not clever enough, I'm not, you know, intelligent, whatever that may be, that we carry through into adulthood that impacts our day-to-day life. You know, I'm not worthy of, you know, all those type of things that are common limiting beliefs that prevent us from, as you said, living our best possible life, living, you know, that in that divine self that we come in with. We don't arrive on this this earthly plane with all these limiting beliefs, but it's the conditioning that's laid down that prevents us from really shining and being who we are as divine beings, having this human experience on this planet, here to learn in this earthly sort of playground.
Absolutely. I know that personally, you know, as soon, like I was aware of a few beliefs because I'd done quite a lot of work. So as soon as I had the Psych-K toolkit, you know, one belief that was really limiting me in, you know, stepping into my power and conveying my gift was a belief of being stupid, you know, and on a conscious level, like I know I'm not, but my subconscious was believing that. So anytime, and it's so funny whenever you pick up on the little clues or the cues that led to that awareness. So like if I was, you know, in like a work meeting, like I would never ever speak up. Or if somebody asked me a question in a professional capacity, my whole body would go into fight or flight, you know. And it's obviously now I know that I had that belief, which was solidified within me, like, no, you're stupid though, don't answer that, you know. And even though I wasn't consciously answering or thinking those things, my body was trying to say, get out of the situation, this isn't safe for you, this is not who you are, you know. And so for me, you know, transforming limiting beliefs like that have enabled me to be able to step into my power and to be able to communicate and be the best version of myself so that I can share my gift, you know.
Yeah.
What about you, Sharon? Is there any beliefs that you can think of that were really transformative in terms
Yeah,
of?
sure. One of the key ones for me that I look back and remember is, I had an experience in childhood which kind of led me to the conclusion that the world is not necessarily a safe place. And,
Mhm.
I went through years and years worth of, having that belief in place that would prevent me from doing things. So, it would affect my confidence, my interaction with others, relationships, everything really. And then when I came to the conclusion that that was a belief that was really holding me back, it changed so much in my life. It has allowed me, when I think back of myself as a child, I was just a really shy, nervous child. Didn't, like you, Joanne, didn't kind of speak up in the class. I was always the one who was quiet and, desperately hoping that the teacher didn't pick on me, to ask a question. And I would go bright red if somebody spoke to me. And so now to know that I am stood at the front of the room when I'm teaching is just something that was way out of my reach. And it shows me how far I have come with the use of Psyche, to have, worked through all of those limiting beliefs that would have prevented me from, essentially being here to do what I'm here to do. I truly believe that this is my purpose and I'm completely aligned with that now. Thank you, to Psyche. I'm forever grateful that I get to live my passion every single day.
Oh, that's amazing, amazing. So if we kind of convey then to our the people watching and the people that are going to watch this later, you know, who is Psyche really for, Sharon?
Yeah, and it's interesting you asked that question, Joanne, because when I first attended the basic workshop, the foundational workshop, where you learn how to use Psyche with yourself, but also with others, the in-person workshop, um, I was absolutely evangelical, thinking that everybody needed Psyche. And, I was so enthusiastic and I would tell anyone who would listen about Psyche and how quick it is, how you can transform your life with it. And I learned an interesting lesson, and that is that Psyche is not necessarily for everyone. So Psyche is for those who are truly, truly ready to step into their greatness, because it's a really rapid form of change. I often have clients who come to me who have maybe had experienced years worth of counselling, maybe they've had a trauma in childhood or something that they want to change in their lives. And they come to Psyche kind of as a last resort, really. And often what they say is, look, I'm done with talking. Like, I have done all the talking that there is to do about this. And every time I'm talking, I'm going back to the problem, back to the problem. And so they're completely ready to just transform whatever's going on so that they can step into new potential, step into a new reality where they can let that go, and to see that, I'm sure you've seen the same, to be changed so quickly, with maybe a single balance, which is the change process in Psyche, is just phenomenal, isn't it? No matter how deep the trauma was. And that's the other thing to mention within Psyche, when we work with transforming the perception around a stressful situation, perhaps in childhood, the client doesn't even really need to talk in great depth about what that is. They
Yeah.
can just simply think about that experience and we can identify whether there is still stress in their system in relation to this experience that's happened in the past.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. It's just such an internal experience, and you know that's the way it should be
Yeah,
because it was experienced internally in such a private way. So for me, it's just so beautiful that you know we're removing that unnecessary re-traumatizing often with the
yeah,
talking. And sometimes some people just need that. They need to be heard or they need to voice that, and that's perfectly
absolutely.
fine too.
Yeah,
But a lot of the time, it's just people come out from the balance and they're just like, how can I feel so different after that one thing?
and it's
You know?
like an internet that they try to get hold of that, viscerally try to get hold of that experience in a way that they did before at the beginning of the balance, the change process. and it's almost difficult for them to hold on to it in the way that they did previously. I think another thing that's really important to mention, you know, I often get asked what are the differences between, say, Psych-K and other modalities, and this is important when we're talking about working with perhaps traumatic experiences in childhood. Is the thing that I love about Psych-K is there's an inbuilt within the process a permission protocol, whereby we're checking to make sure, is it safe, is it okay for us to actually transform that experience? Or is there something else perhaps that we need to do instead or before? We're never ever assuming as a facilitator, and that's why we're called facilitators. You know, we're not the authority here. You know, the partner or the person we're working with, you know, is the person that's in the driving seat, you know, which often people find unusual. So this inbuilt permission protocol is super important to ensure that we're not going to cause any harm through that process at all. And this is where we invite different levels of the mind. This is what we talk about at the basic workshop. So not only are we working with the subconscious, where our beliefs are held, we're working with a conscious mind that really decides what it is that I want in my life, what it is that I want to change, but also our higher self. And in Psych-K, we refer to that as the superconscious mind. That wise part of us that knows what's in our best and highest interest. And that, I think, is one of the key things that really sets Psych-K aside from many other ways of working. And it's something that I absolutely love. I don't know whether you're the same, Joanne.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. And I don't know any other modality really that always checks in there with that higher self and that higher knowing that it's for the greater good, you know, and it's just that check-in. I find it very good as a facilitator, you know, because you're always, you're reminded of that, you know, and you bring that with you. So yeah, I love that as well.
And the other bit, which I just kind of mentioned or referred to, alluded to, is this. We very much talk about Psych-K as to do with process. So, for example, when we're working with somebody, we're facilitating, we're working in partnership, and we're coming from the place of really truly knowing and believing that the partner in front of us is already perfect. There isn't anything to fix. There isn't anything broken. They have the wisdom necessary to make the change within them already. They just might not know it. You know, and that,
I think that's the most empowering thing, isn't it? You know, is when we work in this field, like that's why I just absolutely love my job, is because of that energy, really, you know, and tapping into that. It's just, it's such a joy, really, to remind people of their truth, you know, and often, I'm sure you're the same, but post Psych-K session, you know, people leave with a completely different energy than they arrived with.
Absolutely, and understanding just, you know, that we're not going to give them the answers. You know, they're not going to come to a Psych-K session expecting us to tell them what to do, that we have the answers, because we absolutely don't, you know, but we can help to support them to align themselves with whatever it is that they want, you know, with their goal. So for example, the example that you shared, Joanne, about, you know, feeling stupid, it may be that you don't know what that belief is under the surface, but the access point or the starting point is talking about, well, what's not working in your life? Okay, well, in a meeting, I'm at work and I feel, you know, it's really uncomfortable to be able to speak out loud. That could be the starting point. That could be your goal. So you don't necessarily need to unearth what that belief is. It's a natural progression in the framework that we use within Psych-K to be able to support you to move in the direction you want to go, which uncovers naturally, doesn't it? Those limiting
Which is
beliefs.
absolutely amazing. It takes that pressure off, you know, clients whenever they arrive. Like I feel stuck often. I hear, you know, I'm not where I want to be. Everything around me is just, it's just crumbling, you know, and it's like, the beauty of Psych-K means that it's like a whole process of gentle inquiry as well, and moving with the flow of the direction of the client and their best and highest good. You know, often what somebody has come in with, perhaps by the end of the session, they've left with something totally different. It's like what you were saying earlier about, you know, there was that one belief about the world being an unsafe place, and it impacted so many different parts of your reality. So, you know, you might come with an example in relationships or in you know, your professional capacity, but actually once you get down to the nitty gritty, you find that one belief that affects so many different areas in your life and just transforms it all, which is just mind-blowing, isn't
And I
it?
think the other thing that we were talking about earlier on, weren't we, Joanne, is how fun a session can be. You know, often people think, oh, you know, changing limiting beliefs, it's kind of serious, and, you know, I have to dig deep and find out what that limiting belief is. And they're often surprised about how much laughter. Of course, there are tears sometimes, you know, whether you're in a one-to-one session or whether you come to the workshop. For sure, there is, you know, there can be a release of, you know, experiences or stress or whatever. But there's a lot of fun and joy and laughter, isn't there?
There is so much, and honestly, like that, one of the most special things about Psyche is just getting to share that with people. You know, you get just to meet so many wonderful people and have those deep conversations that you would never normally have, you know.
And I think the other thing is the community, like we talked about. You know, when you come along to a workshop and you come along with the intention to learn something that's really going to help you on a day-to-day basis to transform your life, I think often people are surprised with those deep connections that they make, often lifelong connections that they make through the workshop and through connecting with Psyche. It's just such a beautiful, supportive family, as I described earlier on, isn't it?
It really is. Like, I know that for sure. I have some beautiful new lifelong friends all over the place, really. You know, people come from all over to do this. So talk to us a little bit about your workshop. So if anybody was wanting to, you know, if they were really interested in becoming equipped with Psyche itself to work on themselves or work with others, could you give us a little insight into your information and what you offer?
Of course. So the foundational workshop, there's 2 foundational workshops, and it depends really on what your goal is. If you would like to learn Psyche purely for personal use, just for yourself only, then there is what we call an online level 1 workshop. That's a 3-day workshop where you connect through Zoom and you're learning Psyche for yourself. And that's a fairly new workshop that we've introduced. The traditional way was to come and learn as an in-person workshop, but it gives us the flexibility now because people are based all over the world and who want to learn Psyche. So that's the online level 1 workshop. The other is the basic in-person workshop, which is a foundational workshop. If you want to learn Psyche for yourself, but also to support your friends, your family, and if perhaps you're already working with clients or you're working in a professional capacity, and you're confident enough with what you learn over those 3 days, both workshops are 3 days, then there's no reason why you can't start to integrate that with clients that you're already working with. It's a beautiful complement to other processes or modalities. And, you know, often by the end of 3 days, even people who come who want to learn for themselves suddenly are saying, do you know what? Actually, I think I would like to work with others as well and support others in a kind of professional capacity, so people can be surprised. As I mentioned, primarily I teach in Leeds, which is where I'm based in the UK, but I also teach in Edinburgh in Scotland. I'm going to be there in, just looking at my calendar, in November. I'm going to be back in Dublin in October to teach the basic in-person workshop, which is going to be phenomenal. They are really the places that I focus most of my time in terms of teaching. So 3-day workshop, and you can find out all those details on my website, which is www. and it's my name, Sharon Lock, which is LOCK, sharonlock.co.uk. And I also offer one-to-one sessions as well. So how about you, Joanne? How can people contact you for a Psyche session?
So yeah, I've got a website which is www.the.brain.geek.co.uk. I have all my details really on the website, and I'm also listed as a preferred facilitator on the psyche.com website. So if anybody wants to grab a quick call about what Psyche is and if it can help, you can contact me through that as well, or just DM me on my Instagram page as well. Yeah.
And I highly recommend Joanne, so do get in touch, you know, if you have any questions. She's a fantastic facilitator, and I know that you're in really good hands.
Well, thank you so much. I wonder if anybody has any questions at the moment. If anybody would like to send in a wee question, you're more than welcome. Or if before we end, maybe Sharon, if you wanted to share any like wee snippets of like case studies that have been really good, or anything like so that our viewers can get a little insight into, different limitations or challenges that people come for Psyche with.
Yeah, I'm thinking, off the top of my head, I know that you've had some amazing experiences recently with clients, but I mean, just to give an insight in things that you could work with, from the most everyday practical things, such as, maybe you've got a project that you've got to complete and you're procrastinating about, Psyche can help you with that. You might have had an experience in childhood that's influencing your day-to-day experience, you could work with that. Maybe you have a fear, a phobia, an anxiety, a stress. Maybe you are frightened of heights, or you fear going to the dentist and you feel very, very anxious. Psyche can help with all of those things. Yeah, I don't know whether there's any examples that you can share, Joanne, of sort of
I
things that you can
suppose
do.
there probably just like if somebody wanted to work on like their confidence, if that was stopping them, like they're not believing that they're enough or that they're lovable, or maybe if they find it hard to receive love, you can work on romantic relationships, all relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Abundance,
abundance.
for example, visibility is something that I've been working
Yeah.
on over the last, I don't know, year and a half or so, with just really supporting me to be able to be more visible with Psyche. So, I checked to see if I needed to the support of a Psyche balance before this live, and actually I've done enough work because it was all okay, and it was just natural kind of nerves, which is good in a way. It's
Normal.
it's absolutely normal, because we care about what we do, and we really want to share the best version of not only ourselves but also Psyche too, to be able to support people to make the right decision for them first and foremost. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I think we've pretty much covered
We've covered a
everything,
lot,
and
haven't we?
we have. We love to chat.
We do. I think all of the audience, all of the viewers are watching will realise that now. We could do another hour, couldn't we, easily?
So thank you so much for joining me and
Thank
chatting about
you.
all things like Kay. Really, really appreciate your time,
Thank you so
and
much for inviting me and for also supporting me and taking action to be more visible. Thank you. I really, really appreciate it.
you're so welcome. You're so welcome. Thank you for being here and for encouraging me to do the same.
And
So
thank you
I
to
really
everybody
appreciate
watching, taking the time to watch and to, learn more about Psyche, even if it doesn't feel like it's for you, that's absolutely fine, but just learning more so that you can identify whether it's something that you'd like to explore further. Hopefully we've helped you with that.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you, Roisin, or Roisin, that's a lovely message you've just sent in. Really, really appreciate that. And yeah, so I just wish you all a beautiful day. And again, if you'd like to ask either one of us any questions about Psyche, don't hesitate, I'm sure, to DM either of us or visit our website. And yeah, anything about Psyche, we're obsessed. So have a lovely day.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Joanne. Have a lovely day and enjoy the sunshine, everybody.
Definitely. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.